Hello everyone, I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. Plarium just released the new Fusion information. Probably you guys noticed that we had the Fusion warm-up event that started. Now I do have an embargo till tomorrow for these guys. You're gonna see this video on Monday morning at some point. I can't remember exactly the time. But basically we have the Fusion warm-up event that started. I've done a different video where I kind of like explained you what you need in order to what you need to do in order to prepare for the fusion and stuff, what sort of resources you're gonna need to complete a fusion. And you know what, we're gonna talk about the fusion champion today. We're gonna see if it's worth it to go for the fusion. Is it gonna be a solid champion? Is it gonna be OP, or is it gonna be something average that most of us can skip and can focus our resources on different things? Before we move over to that, I quickly just want to mention one thing. The other day on this video right here, we've done an account giveaway, guys. If you remember, we said we're going to have an account giveaway right here, and we're going to pick the winner quick before we're going to move over to talk about the fusion. Like this, whoever wins is going to see that basically you won the account, and you're going to have to contact me in Discord. And scammers, don't bother because I'm not falling for it. So we're going to put the video right here, and I didn't really ask you guys to type anything too specific, just I want the account, so it's going to be a bit harder for me to find all that. But one thing to keep in mind, if you guys want to stay tuned for future giveaways, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we have more of them coming in the next week or so. We're gonna start another one once I'm gonna get rid of this account. So we actually have how many comments we have in here. Let's see, 483. So let's pick a winner. First game, first serve, guys. Doesn't matter who it is. I'm gonna post it on the community tab as well. Let him cook. I want that account. So he's the winner right here, guys. And congrats on winning the account. Make sure you contact me in Discord. But leaving this on the side, congrats to the winner. Talking about the Fusion champion, guys. There he is. We got a Panda in Raid Shadow Legends. And let's see what is Plarium saying about it. On Thursday, September 28th, we're planning to launch a Fusion event of a new champion. Bambus Fourleaf. That's an odd name. I know he loves bambus. He loves leaves. So it kind of reminds me of Kung Fu Panda, for whoever watched the animation. You know, it reminds me of that. He looks pretty cool though. I love the design. So of course he's gonna be a skinwalker, legendary, support, magic, affinity. Let's see what they have to say about the champion. Bambus Fourleaf is a pretty helpful champion with some interesting mechanics down his sleeve. I meant to say sleeve. Down his sleeve, or did I? He's gonna shine bright in the PvE content, especially battling the mighty Hydra, but will come in handy in PvP content as well, thanks to his ability to place an enfeeble debuff, which makes him the first champion of its kind. And boy, oh boy, Bambus loves to sleep, and this opens up quite a potential for this fella thanks to how his passive skill works. So yes, pandas do love to sleep, they do love to eat, and they do love to grow. And let's actually check his proper skill, man. Let's see exactly what he's doing. So I do have a PDF here because he has a massive wall of text. But how they mentioned, this will be the very first champion in the game to put an enfeeble debuff on somebody. That's the same thing that the Shogun boss does. And basically, regardless of what affinity you are, it will force you to weak hit. That's actually a pretty interesting one. Now, the enfeeble debuff will not be placed on bosses. They are already mentioning that in the kit. But let's start with the very first skill, which is the Bamboo Splinter, which is the A1. You need 4 books in total to book that, and attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Will attack all enemies instead if the initial target is under 2 or more debuffs. This attack has a 40% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Then places a sleep debuff on this champion for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be blocked or resisted. So basically he's gonna put himself to sleep and take a nap, you know. That's interesting. I'm curious how the rest of the kit kind of like goes with it, because if he's just gonna put himself to sleep all the time, it's gonna be pretty damn annoying, right? Lazy panda. Then we have the A2, Grove Tender, and this requires 4 more books to be fully booked. And Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, places a shield buff on all allies equal to 30% of their max HP for 2 turns. I don't like when a support champion does things based on somebody else's max HP rather than his own. You know, many champions buff, shield, heal, etc. and it's based on their own HP. That's what you want because you can build a champion tanky and get a massive value out of it. But still, better than nothing, I guess. Also, increases the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. That's nice, you're increasing the duration of buffs, but this will be on a 4-turn cooldown. Judging by what you're seeing right here with the books, it's not going to be a 3-turn cooldown. After attacking, has a 100% or a 75% chance of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. Pretty interesting, even if the attack lands as a weak hit. Okay, that's nice. So you can actually decrease the duration of buffs on the head of Rat or the head of Mischief if he's stealing your buffs and they have a toxic cloud. That's going to be pretty nice. Then also increases the value of any shield buffs on all allies by 2% for each enemy buff that had its duration decreased by the skill. That sucks. Straight out of the back, I'm going to tell you, that sucks because 2% is nothing, and on top of it is based on how many debuffs you are decreasing from the enemy. In Clan Boss, you're not going to do that. In Hydra, again, you're not really going to do that if you have block buffs or anything like that. And you're not really going to get value whatsoever. And you're not going to be able to make it work for an Infinity Comp team like a Brogni or how Amic was before. So you can scrap that idea off the list because this is not going to be great. Then, places a sleep debuff on this champion for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be blocked or resisted. This dude always sleeps, man. What is happening? Is he always asleep or something? Then, the next thing, Dream Sight. On a 3-turn cooldown fully booked, targets an enemy. First, places an increased accuracy buff and an increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. So you get increased accuracy and increased attack, similar with Yoshi, that's pretty nice. Then, has a 75% chance of placing an enfeeble debuff on the target enemy for 2 turns. Pretty nice if you target a nuker, for example, you know. Then, the enfeeble debuff cannot be placed on bosses. Also has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Finally, places a sleep debuff on this champion for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be blocked or resisted. My god, Bambus Fourleaf. You love a good sleep. So this right here, guys, is fairly interesting. If you are able to put the enfeeble debuff on a nuker, it's gonna be massive, okay? It's gonna be massive because they're gonna weak hit you for quite a bit, and that will give you a massive advantage. Now, do I think that this champion will really be meta changing? Usually, the nukers, they are protected by Necrits in the high-end arena. In the lower tiers, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be massive. It's gonna be super strong for live arena too, potentially, because of this skill right here. So, I don't think it's gonna change accounts to an extent where, like, my god, this champion skyrocketed my entire account. But it does bring the important buffs and debuffs that you will need in order to progress. And how I mentioned, this skill right here with Enfeeble is gonna be great for PvP. And then we have the passive, Sleeping Sage, no books in that, so you need a total of 11 books to fully book the champion. Has a 50% chance of transferring any debuffs placed on an ally to this champion while they are under a sleep debuff. Will not transfer block revive or any crowd control debuffs. At the start of this champion's turn, removes any sleep debuff from the champion. Nice. So he has a 50% chance to get all the debuffs that were placed on one of your other champions, but except the crowd control ones. So decrease attack, defense down, or something like that can get transferred to him. The next thing will be the whole idea of him putting himself to sleep and then having the passive to instantly remove the sleep at the start of the turn. So if by any chance no enemy wakes him up, you know, no enemy targets him, he's gonna wake up anyway, you know. So that's actually good. Having the sleep in the kit is actually nothing bad, okay? It's nothing bad. It's actually interesting. It's funny the way they made him, but it's nothing bad. It's actually beneficial for you, for him to stay asleep and nobody to wake him up, because the active effect of the passive transfers all debuffs from this champion to the enemy with the highest resistance if a sleep debuff was removed from this champion by this champion's passive skill. This effect cannot be resisted. So if he's gonna wake up himself with his own passive, he's gonna target the high resistance champion on the enemy team, transferring all the debuffs that this champion might have on. This includes, by the looks of it, everything that is crowd control as well. So if he's asleep, if he's a stun, if he's anything like that, this active effect of the passive will transfer that to the enemy regardless. And that's good. Now, of course, we are living in the era of polymorph, so all these debuffs might make the champion weak for the high-end arena, but for the rest of the arena, I feel like he's gonna be a pretty strong champion. He can be very annoying with his passive, and yeah, man, he's actually not a bad fusion, you know? The A1 can become AoE with a decreased speed, but only if you have 2 debuffs, okay, on the target. And of course, the chance will decrease a bit to make it AoE, but it's pretty nice to have that option, you know, to have the option of putting decreased speed AoE with the basic skill. I don't think he's an absolute monster. I don't think he's trash. I think he's above mediocre as a champion. I think he's pretty interesting, an interesting kit, something a bit more unique in a way or another, you know, with the things that he's doing. And of course, the Enfeeble being very, very unique. Just imagine going in live arena and you have a Georgit coming against you with an Nacret. You ban the Nacret, you put the Enfeeble on Georgit, and if they don't have a cleanser, of course, or if they don't have immunity, because that can stop him, or if he's not in Stone Skin, the Enfeeble will mess up the enemy nuker for 2 turns, you know, which is going to be awesome for you because you're going to manage to keep your other champions alive. Awesome, awesome stuff, you know. So I do think it's fairly interesting. But how I mentioned, I don't think he's going to be necessarily the most game-changing champion that we had as a fusion. I don't think he's going to be great for clan boss. I don't think he's going to be necessarily insane in dungeon progression in terms of doing insane damage or giving you insane support. But it does give you some interesting things that will allow the champion to put in a serious work for progression too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. That was all for this video. Appreciate every single one of you watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.